How's it going? Welcome to Bannockburn Visitor Centre in Stirling, where you join an intrepid filmmaker on location work for Channel 5, on a documentary about Britain's battlefields. This inner monologue comes to you as a result of said filmmaker, whose expertise within the media world allowed his skill and intellect to forget to press the record button, therefore talking to no one, recording nothing, and rendering the editing of this video all but impossible. The only visible evidence that something wasn't right is the current visuals you are enjoying, where one can only surmise that the pressing of record did happen, but to stop an already rolling camera. Therefore, the adjoining talking heads that follow this would have no substance or context without the piece that wasn't recorded, hence the scornful narration of my own inability in an attempt to set the story of what might prove rather dull after all this effort. Apparently memory is the mother of all wisdom, and I'm not so sure. However, as our hero trudges on, we at least now know why this is happening, and that the impending chat will feature aerial permissions, and the lengths that one has to go to in order to secure a successful filming day as a commercial drone pilot in areas normally off limits to the humble hobbyist. So let us return to the action, safe in the knowledge that we have now been furnished with the relevant story, till now, as to why this is even happening. And allow the story to continue as if we had all heard the chat in the car park before Fingers McManus pressed the record button on his camera. I hope you all enjoyed the up-the-nose B-roll and street lamp section that this monologue accompanied. So please, continue, and do tell us about the opportunity of what it is like to operate like a drone pilot under commercial conditions.
I thought I might take this opportunity just to film a piece about what it's like to operate like a drone pilot. What's it like to work and go through the motions of actually being able to fly anywhere. I'm a member of a few of online groups that have drone pilots, and mainly hobbyists. There's a few professional users there, and much of the chat on these forums is much the same. I've got a new drone. What do I do? I want to buy a new drone. Which is the best one to get? Look at this footage, is it any good? All that kind of stuff. I bet it's more often than not, there's a lot of discussion about where you can fly and where you can't fly and why. And to be honest, it is a pain in the arse. It is literally a pain in the arse. If it was as easy as just picking up your drone and just flying wherever you wanted, then I'm pretty sure there probably would be more people doing it. But then with that comes consequence. It's just the way it is. However, when you have to... you should plan any flight, whether you're being paid for it or not. Just before I can even take off, first of all, the production company got in touch with me. They're based in London, and they've been doing this, they're doing a programme about battles for Channel 5. And I got an email asking me, would I be available to fly in Stirling, especially Bannockburn, because it's one of the more famous battles in Scotland. And I was like, yeah, sure, no problem at all. I had a free day open, but I was looking at the weather. They need it done by next week. Weather doesn't look great. We're going to be gusting winds up to 60 miles an hour next week, so no drone flying. But I saw a window of opportunity, and that was today. But before he could even do that, Bannockburn Visitor Centre is run by the National Trust. So the National Trust has to be contacted by the production company, and they have to ask permission. Now I know what's coming after that one, because then National Trust want to know who's your pilot, what's his licence, has he registered his drone, the new operator number that you have to do that he's supposed to have done in November. They want a copy of that. Then they want a copy of your liability insurance for obvious reasons, and then obviously your main insurance for the kit. So you've got to send all that over. Then they want a risk assessment. So you need to risk assess the place in relation to its location, the public, the visitor centre, and all the other things that go with it to mitigate the risk of you flying here. So the risk here is actually quite minimal. I mean, there's not any air traffic from a lower level. There's private flying clubs not far from here, but they're not going to be flying today. I've already checked, and we're not in any commercial airspace or military. There's no power lines. There is homes though, and then obviously there's a visitor centre itself, which is right here. But then on top of that, there is residential housing over here. We have trees and we have dog walkers. The farmlands also. So you've got to take all these things in and mitigate the risk. So you've got to think about the worst possible scenario, how you can limit that, and then put it all down in a form and send it to them. Then on top of that, they want to know what your plan is if you have to ditch, if there's a fire, if you need first aid, if you're working alone, how you spot and other things. So you then have to describe to them what it is that you're going to be doing. Because a lot of people don't understand what a drone pilot does, and they just think you're going straight up to altitude and then flying really high, and if it comes out the sky and it hits somebody, they'll die. So you've got that to do. So then you have to draw a map, and then you show your area of flight, where you're going to take off from, how you're going to loosen the risk of anybody coming close to you, and all of those questions. And that's just for this site. I've got 2 other sites to fly from this morning that I'm trying to fit in within 2 hours before the weather kicks off. And at the moment I'm being, well, in terms of that, the weather's been really unfavourable to me. As you can see, I'm just standing in the rain now, like a doofus. But I know the area and I know the battle because I filmed here before, which covers off on the history of it. And history is something that I've got a background in. And that, coupled with filming and indeed the drone, is certainly tick boxes that a production company like. So I'm a self-operator, and that's what makes me a commodity to a lot of these people, because I'm local, I can turn up, I can do the job, and I can send them the footage. Also, I can give them what they need, in terms of paperwork, licenses, insurances, and I can do all quickly and from home, and everybody's happy, everybody's happy. And then before I come here, I make sure I've got the right names. You need to name drop when you're a drone pilot, or anybody, because people will come up and challenge you, and they'll say, yeah, what are you doing here? Is that a drone? You got permission to be here? Yeah, I do, actually, yeah. Another thing is, while people who come up to a drone pilot are quite irked with you being there, when you're a commercial drone op and you've maybe paid somewhere to be here, to do a job, it can irk you also when somebody comes up to you to challenge you, because it seems that the company that you're working for hasn't prepped their staff. Now, I'm assuming, I did ask about being here at the visitor centre. I needed a name, because normally I would go in and introduce myself and say who I am and why I'm here. I've got a big orange pelly case and, well, I look like this. And so at least they know who I am and why I'm here. But it's closed, so I can't get in. But there are people in there, I can see them. I can only assume that the people at the National Trust have spoke to the people here, because they've had over a week to do it, to say that there is a guy coming to do drone work on Sunday morning. It is Sunday morning and I'm a guy. But when somebody comes up to you with an attitude, you kind of want to give them the same attitude back and say, well, no, yeah, I do have permission to be here. I spent a week of my own time sorting out my permissions and emailing people and speaking to people at top levels in order for this to happen. So I'd quite like it if you got off my back. Obviously you can't do that, because you need to remain professional at all times and smile and say, of course I'm supposed to be here. I'm working for Channel 5, filming a documentary about the Battle of Bannockburn, and I'm providing the aerial shots that will make that battle in a historic context and indeed a modern context looks sexy. I might not say it like that, of course, but there is a reality to all of this as well. So anyway, it's just one of those things that you just kind of have to get on with and deal with. And I feel the rain's starting to stop now. But I tell you what, I don't like Joby Gorilla Pods. Well, man, they're okay. I'm using it right now, but I wouldn't pick it up by its legs because they pop out, and then your really expensive mirrorless camera and your L series Canon lens and metabones and everything just drops into the mud. What was the deal with making pop out legs, Joby? I'm saying Joby because in Scotland we would say Jobby. Do you know what a Jobby is? That's Bannockburn, battlefield extraordinaire, taking you back to the wars of independence. Although today it's mainly filled with runners and dog walkers. I didn't get caused any problems today, which is kind of good. Interesting acoustics in here. But yeah, woo! There's a bit of a wall here. It has things written round it. Come all ye, the country says, you win me, who takes me most to heart. Here lies our land, every airt beneath swift clouds, glad glints of sun belonging to none but itself. We are mere transients who sing its westland winds and Fearney braes, northern lights and siller tides. Small folk playing our part. Deep. For God and St Andrew, Robert the Bruce, King of Scots, planted his standard near this spot when the Scottish patriots under his command vanquished the army of Edward II of England at the Battle of Bannockburn, 24th of June, 1314. We fight not for glory, nor for wealth, nor honour, but only and alone we fight for freedom, which no good man surrenders, but with his life. Who knows? Anyway, thanks for watching the video. Give it a thumbs up and headbutt that like button also. Subscribe if you haven't already. I'm looking to get to 1,000 this year if it's possible. Although it's not. not a hard and fast rule. I'm just kind of going with the flow. And I will see you on the next video, whatever that is, because I'm not nearly that organised to have planned that far ahead. And until then, expect the best, prepare for the worst, and capitalise on what might come.